or visit grloans.com.
Weekend Recharge is...
We want you to unplug so you get lost in the weather.
Welcome back to Weather Underground. Tropical Depression 9, all eyes on Florida. We have hurricane watches and tropical storm watches posted now across Florida. Now, you might be wondering, this is a tropical depression. Why do we have a hurricane watch? Well, we do anticipate that this will strengthen into a tropical storm. Hermine would be the name. There is a very slim chance, though, that this could become a hurricane. So the National Hurricane Center wants you to be prepared. So National Weather Service offices urging folks to make sure they are ready to go. Here is the forecast track. Notice late Thursday, that's when we anticipate this to move into Florida. Winds expected to be around 65, 70 miles per hour. So that would be a moderate to strong tropical storm. And then notice this hugs the southeast coast and could even brush parts of New England as we head into late this weekend.
A lot of you have questions about the tropics, and so we're here to answer those questions. You've been sending quite a few in. Ryan has had the tough task of filtering all of them today. There have been tons.
There have been tons. Tim's question, has there ever been this much tropical activity all at once? Been a weather geek for quite a few years. I can't remember when.
Well, it's been a long time. I mean, last year in the Central Pacific and Eastern Pacific, we had a heck of a lot of activity, but the Atlantic was what was absent last year. To see this much activity in the Atlantic and the Eastern and the Central Pacific all at once, it's been a long time, but we've certainly had this much activity. It's just been a while.
Yeah. So Josh then asks, can an annular hurricane have the same effect as a regular hurricane in the Pacific and Atlantic basins?
Well, you can have annular hurricanes in the Atlantic and in the Pacific. I'm not sure exactly what his question is, but the annular hurricane, everything that I just described there is the same for the Atlantic as it is for the Pacific if you were to get an annular hurricane. Actually, your odds are a little bit lower of getting an annular hurricane in the Atlantic than they are in the Pacific, but we haven't observed many annular hurricanes in the record books. So the fact that there's been so few of them, we're just now learning what they are and sort of how they come to be.
There you go. Next question is from Waken asking, hello guys, great work. We're trying to find out if we should evacuate the Citrus Springs area of Florida.
All right, I know my Florida geography. You're going to have to help me out here with
well, the thing about it is this. You'll get that notification county by county. They'll do it individually by county. So you're likely, a lot of places they'll do like a reverse 911 and tell you that you're under evacuation, or it's all done by grids and GPS, and they know exactly the places that have to evacuate based on surge maps and forecast intensity of a system.
And that's, by the way, midway between 75 and the coast, right by Ocala.
Yeah, you know, listen to your local, I mean, Mike, all the right advice there for Mike. Listen to your local emergency management agency, and they'll be able to tell you whether or not you should evacuate. Obviously, we're not giving those orders, but the reason you evacuate, 90+% of the time you evacuate, is because of storm surge and coastal flooding. So if you live near the coast, and if you are under under one of those storm surge watches, the experimental storm surge watch, then you should be listening for the possibility that your local emergency management could call for evacuation orders in the coming hours.
And as a matter of fact, just kind of looking at that in that area, the Citrus Springs doesn't fall within the prototype storm surge
and
watch.
That's a good little guide to, you know, look, if you're in that, you may be asked to evacuate. So just listen carefully. Your local news and your local emergency management will have that information. Cool.
All right, the next one is from Brianna, and she's asked, does Central Florida still need to be concerned about TD9?
Absolutely. Yeah. Heavy rainfall with this, the tornado threat.
Severe threat,
the severe threat with this as it comes ashore. The rain, there is still the possibility, 30% probably thereabout chance of getting tropical storm winds. And you know, look, we're still a few days away, and there is still error in where this may end up heading. But either way, there's the potential there for a pretty wet week to come.
All right, so the last question we have time for tonight is from Dylan. Dylan's asking, what are the odds we see a major hurricane hit the U.S. for the first time since Wilma?
We're not seeing anything that would suggest a major hurricane hit the U.S. at this point. Yeah.
The official forecast right now keeps it just under hurricane strength at this point.
Right.
But things could change, but as of this point, it's got a long way to go to get to Category 3.
It does, yeah. But we'll keep an eye on it.
All right,
Michael,
good
excellent.
questions.
Thank you for being
Thank
here
you.
tonight. Excellent stuff. And we're going to have a lot more coverage for you tomorrow on AMHQ.
Yeah, we've got Florida Governor Rick Scott live to discuss the potential impacts from Tropical Depression 9 and his state's concern with the Zika virus. That's tomorrow on AMHQ beginning at 5 a.m.
Hey, for all of us here at Weather Underground, I want to thank you so much for watching tonight.
Yeah, have a great night. And remember, together we know more. Breaking.
We all have to take this seriously. We've been blessed. We haven't had a hurricane in quite a while, but we're going to have storm surge. We're going to have inland flooding. We're going to have coastal flooding. We're going to have as much as 15 inches of rain that's going to come somewhere. Looks like it's going to be a little now further north right than Tampa, but somewhere between Tampa and Panama City, maybe even going a little bit further west than that. But we're going to have rain, and we're going to have storm surge. We have the potential of tornadoes. We're going to have rip currents. We have to be careful.
That's some good advice from the governor. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm meteorologist Jackie Jarris.
And I'm meteorologist Sarah Dillingham. Well, it's safe to say the tropics are wide awake. There are 4 active tropical systems threatening the U.S. right now. We have TD9 in the Gulf, Tropical Depression 8 off the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and 2 hurricanes, Madeline and Lester, headed toward Hawaii. We have a lot to talk about tonight, so let's start first with Tropical Depression 9.
Well, this system is already producing heavy rain in parts of Florida. This video shot in Clearwater this afternoon. With a tropical system, we're getting waves of rain. And here are some of the big headlines at this hour. The hurricane watch runs from the Anclote River at Tarpon Springs near Tampa north to Indian Pass along the Gulf Coast. It's too early for evacuations, but Florida's Emergency Operations Center activated its emergency response team ahead of the storm. Several counties in the Tampa Bay area are offering free sandbags to residents. That includes Pasco, Hillsborough, Pinellas, Hernando, and Citrus counties. One impact already: this week's preseason game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Washington Redskins at Tampa. It's now being moved up a day, and that game will be played tomorrow instead of Thursday. Sarah?
All right, thanks, Jackie. Well, let's take a look at what is going on with Tropical Depression 9. This has been a storm we have been talking about ad nauseum for over a week, and now we seem to be talking about it ad nauseum as a tropical depression, but we do think that it is still going to intensify to a tropical storm. Let's take a look now at the stats on it. Winds still at 35 miles per hour. We know the hurricane hunters have been struggling to find tropical storm force winds here today, but still those winds are holding. Pressure is a steady 1,004 millibars, but look at that motion off to the west-northwest at 5 miles per hour. And Jackie and I were talking about this earlier, but it seems like it's taken a little bit more of a westward track. So we'll see how that impacts the forecast track downstream. But look at the convection that is bubbling up here in the southern Gulf of Mexico. This is right over where just south of where that low-level center is. So what we're trying to wait for is the upper levels and lower levels to kind of come in line with each other. As we were saying before, we already have hurricane watches here for portions of the Big Bend that extends all the way from near Apalachicola all the way down to Tarpon Springs. Notice Tampa, you're not included in that area right now.